I didn't have a father figure in my life. And so, but I had a lot of women that cared for me. My grandmother became more of my adopted mom, and she kept me straight on the straight and narrow. But I was fortunate enough to grow up in a place where Dionne Warwick, the school I went to, Dionne Warwick was the alma mater for the school. And, that's Whitney Houston's, cousin, first cousin. And I lived around the corner from Whitney and Queen Latifah and some other people that, played a modest role in my life. But some of the men I've had, going through things as I was growing up were the Jim Rohns and Peter, motivational speaker Les Brown, and so on and so forth that I had the opportunity to go and meet one day. So,
So, can you describe a couple of adjectives that would sum who you are?
um, first to me would be a humble servant. I believe that, through life's trials and tribulations, I think I learned at a very early age that I couldn't do it without my village, and God has protected me all this time. The streets I grew up on, best way to describe it is I never thought I'd see my 18th birthday. And so, just being able to know from the standpoint that God has always been with me, helped me take a look at things differently. The serenity prayer became my favorite prayer. I just focus on the things that I can control, and the things I can, I give them up to Him. So I'm one of those guys that believe service before self.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm actually from the New York City area, grew up in Queens, Laurelton, Queens. I'm familiar with the area you grew up in, Brooklyn, Bedford Stuyvesant. But you know what? Growing up and deciding on what path you're going to choose is very important. And one of the paths that you did choose was joining the military. So, can you kind of tell us about that? Like, what inspired you to join the military, and what lessons did you learn being in the military that you use today in your everyday life?
Well, thank you again. Thank you. Good question. I the military was almost a default for me. Like I said, to in my neighborhood, and as you know, growing up in New York yourself, for me, I was blessed to have an academic proudness about me. I guess I got skipped. I was the first one skipped from the ninth grade to 11th grade. Only one had ever done that in my school. And so academically, it put me on a track of, gifted and talented schools. But a mentor of mine was killed in school. My best friend and a mentor was killed in my school. And so, again, I never really wanted to be a statistic. So the opportunities that set before me was the recruiters that used to come to my school and talk to people with high academics like myself. So that intrigued me enough to, pursue all the different military installations, and I wound up selecting the Navy, where I went in. So on the Battleship New Jersey, stationed in Long Beach, California, and I was an aviation mechanic. So the thing I loved about the military was just the structure and the disciplines that they teach, and that gave a young man like me the ambition and desire to go out there and do things in a structured way. I'm a chess player by nature, so it helped understanding structure in order to elevate. I'm one of those guys that believe that it's your attitude more than your aptitude that creates your altitude. So how high you go in life is going to be more dependent upon your attitude than just education alone.
You
Wow.
know,
You know,
you wear different hats. You do a lot. Let's just put it that way. And but can you start before we go to break? You're a real estate developer, international business developer, marketing acquisition strategist. You're an evangelist. What role is most near and dear to your heart, Mr. Erick, and why?
Well, great question again. I thank you for asking. I think one of the biggest things that I contribute a lot of the things to is because we serve a big God, but yet we try to put Him in a box. We wear all these different titles, and so it almost limits you to your full potential. And I think that the moment, if you don't mind me getting comfortable, taking off the hat, there's no boundaries there. When we take off the hats and what people decide we're to be, there's a lot more to us than we perceive in our own self. So, I've been blessed to be and fortunate enough to just be a jack of all trade and a master of none, because I leave all the things that I don't know how to do to the source who gives us this brain trust to be able to do everything that we put our mind to. We can do anything through Christ Jesus, and that's the strength and source I have. And that's what I count on for guidance. So, real estate developer and all those good things are a means to an end. Anything that affects change is where you'll find me. I'm at the hardest part of those things because once you tackle that, then everything else is easy. It's my philosophy.
Well, I'll tell you what, hold that thought because we'll have to take a station break. But if you want to be part of this great conversation, you call in at 1-866-577-2473 or just go to the comments and just ask this great man any question you want to. We're going to take a break. We'll be back. It's your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? And everything that you do.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Life to country life and back again, sharing his hard-earned lessons to educate, encourage, and enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
The Answer San Diego, streaming now on TuneIn.com and Odyssey.com.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James Cooley is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. Dr. Cooley is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, Dr. James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and just like I tell you, we got this absolutely fantastic guest here, and we at this event that we getting ready to talk about. Just an absolutely wonderful event. A lot of people here, a lot of people are getting valuable information, and if you want to be part of this conversation, just like I said, that's 1-866-577-2473, or go to the comments wherever you're watching this at. And just ask this great man any questions that you want to. Dr. Hall, well, we're at this great event, and it's all about the veterans and it's all about small business associations. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Southwest Veteran Resource Center founder is Al Rentier, and he runs ops for vets. And then this lovely event that we're at today, I'm so excited about. We had a great showing. There's over 100 vendors. It's been over 500 participants coming through today. And so, phenomenal opportunity for business and veteran entrepreneurs and veterans to come in and really hone on their skills on how to take their business to the next level. The Resource Center is designed to help people understand business and aptitude on how to work with the government, the state of California, and federal level. So, anybody that's looking for particular skill sets or how to get the right advice to move through the business endeavors, you'll find everything here. It's a one-stop shop. So we're pretty excited about the turnout today. And again, this is an annual event. So um, 11 years, I think Al and I met about 2009, and he brainstormed a lot of these things, and it's great to see it come to fruition. So I'm here always to support his endeavors and what he does.
Wow. So how what is the feedback that you have received? I know you do this annual event, but what's the feedback that you receive from veterans as well as the business owners on what they have, let's say, gained and knowledge and the experience they have with connecting with other people and vendors?
A great question, Michelle. One of the biggest things is we don't realize what we don't know. All we know is what we know. And for veterans, that still holds true. They get out to service, we serve our country, but a lot of times we don't know all the valuable benefits that we have access to. And so that becomes a challenge, for to get that information out there because, some of it is political driven. You don't know. It's a good old boys club in one aspect, and what you don't know, it's detrimental to you and your benefits. And if the community understood what having a veteran in their community, the extra income that would derive from it, it's to me, it's one of the secret weapons that we discuss. And so people are always trying to figure out how can they get involved and how can they do business and tap into some of these set aside contracts that the government offers to veterans. So I think that those are the biggest things and takeaways from here.
Hmm.
And so for that, the event is always seen to be very successful in that aspect because there's a plethora of information under this event.
Well, what type of vendors are there? I know you're talking about the events and the feedback that you receive. What can you name some of the vendors that are there, and what do they provide to the veterans and business owners?
Wow, yes, 100 vendors. So we talking about things scalable as far as we're set up next to HSBC guys. These guys do air conditioning. I've seen solar panels, photovoltaic solar installers. Solar is one of the biggest initiatives that's going on right now.
Hmm.
How to get started in business. So there's opportunities to like SCORE, a retirement association, a group of retired attorneys and judges that help pinpoint the accuracies of the things that you need to have to set up and move through the business world. We've seen people as far as food and beverage vendors, people that selling trinkets, offering services, business plan developers. We got real estate brokers, hydroponics for us being here, example, food and beverage industries. So the vendors are a plethora of vendors covering a multitude of areas.
Wow.
So let's talk about Texas greenhouse. I mean, I was looking at your booth out there, and I was looking at all the information that you have. It just seems so interesting what you all are doing. So I want to share with the world some of the things that you all are doing and some of the things that you all are growing, and just give them a little brief history of what is Texas Green Star?
Sure, absolutely. Well, great. Appreciate you asking that as well. I think as we spent time over the last few days talking about a lot of things that's going on, the one thing near and dear to my heart, I believe is part of our ministry. Texas Green Star was founded in 2019 out of Sanger, Texas, near 45 minutes out of Dallas, off the I-35. And, we have a 322-acre facility, hydroponics facility, over 1,000 uh, greenhouse bays, and we grow leafy green lettuce and produce. So we have the largest facility in America right now under one roof with 1.4 million square feet. Our production right now is about 2 million a month, growing produce in about 30 days on average, and distributing across the Midwest. And we're here to, break ground and do some distribution and things here in California. So expanding the market share. But again, hydroponics is the way of the future. Traditional farming is kind of passe. And as we're sitting back looking at the changes that's being made, we offer cleaner, more organic, no chemicals, produce, and it gives us, to us, it gives us a cutting edge.
So, what type of green foods do you guys produce?
Great question. Anything that can be grown, the traditional way can be grown hydroponics. So hydroponics is just an NFT type system, where it's water versus soil. We have a closed loop NFT system. Our facilities pretty much grow leafy green lettuce, basil, cilantro. Basically all the green lettuce that we eat today: spinach, cabbage, and all those good things.
So, what type of facilities do you guys serve, like stores and that your product is in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we provide a full scale solution, marketing and all that kind of stuff to nationwide. It could be private label going under a big box brand. So we service Whole Foods, HEB, Stater Brothers, Winco, 99 cent store, just to name a few. Across the country. So again, my job is to bring awareness here in California, under one of the agribusiness initiatives, and explain the values of going hydroponics to get a true organic product.
So, hydroponics is that been a is that been out for quite some time, or is something new, or you all just got the niche on that?
Hydroponics been around for a while. I think when you start talking about you can't teach old dogs new tricks. The traditional way of farming with soil and all those things are just what we've been accustomed to for hundreds, of years, thousands of years, right? So hydroponics offer a newness, especially when you start talking about the different technologies that create nanotechnologies, and it offers another type of environment to grow. And the transparency from seed to sale, everything is tracked all the way through to the end user. And so it just really gives us a cleaner product at the end of the day.
Wow. So how will the public see the impacts of this great effort, locally, regional, national, and globally?
Well, good question. Being able to provide, again, year-round produce that is grown truly organic. We're organically certified by the USDA, Department of Agriculture. We have all the certifications. So when you look at locally, of course, people in the Dallas Metroplex area have, the freshest food available to them in the shortest time span because they're there. But we deliver to from Dallas to Memphis in 7 hours. We go to Atlanta, Georgia, from Dallas to in 11 hours. So whether it's locally or whether logistically coming to California, it can all be done.
Yeah, so all of this is primarily train or truck. I mean, uh, to the different warehouses or to the different stores.
Yeah, mostly by truck, reefer trucks. The process can be done any kind of way as far as the produce go. The quicker you get it there, but you also want to look at the cost effectiveness. We're able to provide, cleaner and affordable product and produce. And so again, transportation wise, usually trucking is the most essential way to get them there.
So what are some of the things, some of the other things that as a deal with the hydroponics that you all are looking at?
Well, expansion. I think what hydroponics allows us to do, again, with Texas Green Star in our facility, it's equivalent to about 244 football fields, to kind of give you a bigger picture. So the goal for us, and from a ministry standpoint, is we'll be able to feed the hungry, so being able to eradicate poverty, our bigger goals and ambition is, to erase, and no kid should go to bed without eating.
Mm.
And a facility like this that's scalable completely can be off grid. You can do this in remote areas like the work that we're doing in Africa. So it's a affordable, scalable option in the way of growing produce and ending hunger.
I want to hold that thought because when we come back, we're going to talk about Africa. So we're going to take a station break. But if you want to be part of this great conversation with Dr. Erick Hall, just 1-866-577-2473. It's your life. I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We'll be back shortly after.
There's more stories.
Doctor James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. The James Cooley Show. It's
Hello. Hey, I'm James Cooley. I am the founder and CEO of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, Options, Opportunities, Lasting Choice Program. Our primary mission is to help build a foundation of our youth and young adults and communities. And we encourage everyone to dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. And the way that you do that is, first of all, you got to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you are here for a purpose. You also have to be able to step out your comfort zone and do things that you probably didn't think that you can do.
Teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James Cooley is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. Dr. Cooley is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, Dr. James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, we over here inspired listening to this great doc. Tell us about some of his products and especially when it comes to this hyper, whatever you call that,
Hydroponics.
hydroponics, with growing food inside a warehouse, a house, or whatever that is. That's fascinating. And you, when we was in the last segment, Doc, you mentioned something about Africa, and I know you guys do a whole lot of stuff over there. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to. Now we're talking about, I think an area that I'm more passive about, and passionate about. I think one of the beautiful things is I got a chance to travel to Africa, South Africa, back in 2005 with my sons, teenage sons, and grown fond and had a love for it. So I've been there on the continent since then. And it's amazing what you can do when we take the excuses out the way. You get results, right? So I seen the need, I seen the problems, and I think by nature, we want to solve problems when we see things. So I first started with purchasing some land in South Africa from Coca-Cola family, and we set up feeding stations and things of that nature. So fast forward to 2017, I've been an ambassador for the country of Uganda for 3 years, 2 years in the country of Burundi, and this year my newest endeavor was ambassadorship for Malawi. So we're doing a lot of things there. I'm founder of a company called African Link Foundation, and it's our goal to bridge the gap between African Americans and African descended people to be tied back to their anchor. So we provide DNA testing that allows you to, to get your heritage that was kind of taken from you. So I think one of the most exciting part was discovering that I'm from the Ivory Coast of Africa, Sierra Leone area. I'm part of the Igbo tribe. And, once I found that, I felt like there's other people like myself that would love to know, where they're from and their heritage. So here lies why we formed the African Link Foundation.
Dr. Hall, those who have never been to Africa, I do believe in your opinion, do you believe that there's some preconceived myths about Africa, the condition of Africa? Sometimes people on TV or the media is showing Africa as being, impoverished and just struggling. Do you believe that the media and then there's certain myths about Africa that are being projected incorrectly? If so, why do you believe that is?
Well, that's kind of a double-edged sword question, but absolutely, you're absolutely right. A lot of the preconceived notions that we get from the media, it depicts Africa as a poverty-stricken, virus infested, and all these negative connotations that you get. You have shows in TV like Hotel Rwanda or Blood Diamonds. You don't really see anything depicted showing, the beauty of Africa. Most of the wonders in the world are in Africa. The minerals that, the countries poor one way when you look at it from a media standpoint, but it's been pilferage over hundreds of years. All the minerals and resources that there, the gold and diamonds and tungsten and everything else that comes from there. So I think the biggest thing is African Link. Our goal is to not only give you back your passport to your heritage, but it's also to break down the misconceived notions. African Americans, we're the only people on the planet that are not tied to their anchor, if you will. The Jewish know where their heritage come from, the Latinos, you know, um, but blacks, we know we're from Africa, we don't know where. We don't have that information readily available, and rightfully so. 400 years of the mistreatment that we deal with, systemic racism, and all these other aspects of it, has kept these preconceived notions or myths, if you will, in the forefront of things. And it's up to companies and people like ourselves to make those differences and make those changes. We
Which
suffer from the legacy of colonization and slavery. And so that's in the forefront. And nobody talks about that. That's not being taught, and only way you can dispel that is being boots on the ground and going. And then once you realize the rich nature and the heritage that we are afforded to do, one of the biggest missions that African Link has done, we partner with the African Union and allow you to, once you get your DNA testing results, to get dual citizenship in those native countries where you find out you're originally from. And then more importantly is the opportunity to not only just go back there, but to do something. Africa is missing one thing, its children. So Mother Africa is calling the children of Africa to come back home. So the diaspora is a great movement, the African diaspora. I think it paves a way for people to take the excuses out the way of why they're afraid to go and don't nobody there, don't know anyone, and what to do. To where if we just bridge that gap, and that's what we want to be able to afford people to do, and drop and change all the myths, change the narrative.
So with African Link, can you talk about that a little bit more? Because I'm curious. It allows a person to track their DNA and figure out what their heritage, what tribe, or what.
Yes, so great. So to kind of how I stumbled in there, I used to do pharmacogenomics testing. So DNA testing that shows what type of medicine would be great for our DNA. And so transitioning from there, doing that for the military, it also afforded me the opportunity to, I wondered to, if I did my DNA test, what would it tell me? And no one ever told me how simple it is, the process to do. So after doing it, I found the hole, a void that was missing in me as a man was a spiritual connection back to where my anchor is, you know? So where do you get that information from? Who tells you about that? We're not learning that in history. And so it's important to affect the change or change in the narrative, if you will, for a group of people who are struggling because they're absent of their foundation, their roots. So African Link again provides services. At first it started off as being tested for your DNA. But what we believe is if you know you're from Africa, then the pilgrimage is just the call to go back home. It don't matter what part of Africa you're from because it's one continent. So the moment you do, though, there's a spiritual awakening. I describe my first time touching the ground over in Africa, and I'm not one of those guys that kind of, just if it ain't real, it ain't right. So my first experience in touching the soil over there, God is everywhere. He's omnipresent. And for me, he was for sure there. I bowed down off the plane and kissed the ground. And anybody that know me, I'm not that guy to do that. So I describe it as the pressure of the sovereignty, his, highness, if you will, you know, had me bow down to the ground. And from there, what touched my heart was the change and effects that need to happen and the brain trust that we can bring there to see some of these changes happen. Africa's issue is that most people send their children outside of the country to the West or to Europe to go get educated, all in the goal to come back. Excuse me. But once they make the money, they just send money back and never bring the brain trust back. So therefore, that's the narrative that needs to be changed. If we go and just realize that if we bring the brain trust back to Africa, Africa is the only frontier left, that can affect the greatest gross product dollars that will change a country. And not only the country, it's 55 countries in Africa, but it'll change the nation.
So what are some of the things that we are doing to encourage um, us to, from African Americans or Americans or Africans, to go back and really get an understanding on where you're from?
Okay, and great question. I think the biggest thing is, again, if you go on the website, there's a lot of information there about, DNA and all that kind of stuff, right? But the biggest thing is to have the desire to want to go. And again, going back to what I was saying, all we know is what we know. We don't know what we don't know. And the legacy that we're leaving behind is not being attached to our anchor. So to dispel all the myths and rumors, there's tours and annual travel pilgrimage, if you will, to go to different aspects there. We created sustainable jobs through like hydroponics. So we have government contracts with different countries in Africa. We control mining contract, farming contracts, infrastructure contracts. So we're putting in everything that has to deal with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So our focus point is to be boots on the ground and take the excuses out of the way to get results.
I want to hold that thought because we're going to take a station break. But I want to come
Yes, sir.
back and I want to pick it up with laugh because this is getting excited. So wherever you're watching this at, or whether you're listening to it on the radio, if you want to be part of this great conversation, that's 1-866-577-2473. Again, that's 1-866-577-2473. It's your life. I'm Dr. James Cooley. We'll be back shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your Life.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
The Answer San Diego, streaming now on smart speakers and Odyssey.com.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James Cooley is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation. Dr. Cooley is here to equip you to strive for greatness and overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, Dr. James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to the Dr. James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, I am getting so much great information from the Dr. Hall over here, especially as it relates to Africa. So, I want to talk some more about that. So can we pick it up, Doc, where you left off at?
Yeah, sure. One of the biggest endeavors, like I talk about, is the opportunity that's afforded to us when we go back to Africa. And so, again, my new endeavor in Malawi is regarding being an ambassador for Malawi and creating agribusiness. So our hydroponics is one part of it, but we're creating a center of excellence that will teach an education model of organics, um, things grown hydroponically, dealing with free trade agreements, entrepreneurship training to the youth in Africa. And so again, the brain trust, the Mother Africa is calling back is for the children of Africa to go back home and then educate the masses. And so I'm holding in my hand right now what I'm so excited about is, again, just a contract that was signed. And we're in the solar sector, real estate sector, bringing affordable housing, clean water, water. We drill holes in Africa. We have air to water system that we bring there. So a lot of the technologies that are new here, we're doing them in Africa and getting power purchase agreements from the government to work firsthand. We have our pharmaceutical license. I have international license. I'm in the, God has afforded a lot of opportunities there, and I'm just a humble servant that's going over there and doing it. I can come up with 100 reasons why, but of not doing it, based on the myths and things that we see. But we've heard enough about his story, and we need to change it to our story, African Link. And it's about moving forward and things. So take a look at an opportunity that, if it's just to go on a trip, that fall right in line with what it is that your social goals are.
Yeah. So, how would a person get involved in what you are doing? I'm talking about especially the African side of that.
Great question. AfricanLink.com is Africa, AFRIAN, then linked, LINKED.com. And um, there's plenty of information that talks about the resources and opportunities. Travel, you're talking about, you can go to Dubai, from Los Angeles to Dubai in about 10 hours. So you can get to different parts of Africa in about 15, 17 hours. And trips somewhere around $1,500.
Events coming up in Texas, real soon, the 4th of
Yes.
December. Can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about that?
Okay. So, right. So we have an organization, World Trumpet Television Network, and we have our annual honorary awards where we recognize heads of states around the world doing, the efforts of humanity um, and philosophical and of.
Yeah, that's actually a very powerful guy, and especially he's got another event coming up where he's feeding about 7,000 to 8,000 families. I mean, that's a lot of families, and it's just so giving.
Yeah, absolutely. Even with World Trumpet Network, Bishop Kingsley's involved in a lot of things we're doing abroad as well. He's a co-founder of African Link, as well as I'm a co-founder with him with World Trumpet. And the feeding is an annual thing. We give away, containers of shoes and clothing. We have hospital equipment, beds and chairs, and respirators and things of that nature. So again, one of my foundational scriptures is Deuteronomy 8:18. God talks about that He wants you to remember that it's He that gives you the power to obtain wealth, but it's to establish His covenant. And so that's feeding, and clothing the homeless and the widows and orphanage, and so that's our philosophy. And if we give you your dream, maybe you'll help us with ours. Is our philosophy of sorts. So, but yeah, the feeding event, 7,000 members here, and there was 12,000 in Africa. So again, we're excited about that event coming up. We also have an event coming up here in November, Veterans Day, in Riverside County at Fly Bob Airport, where we take inner city kids. It's a car show. It's a parade for veterans. We have the C-17 military planes and F-14 flying air shows out there. But we take inner city kids out there to go fly in the airplane. So they'll sit in the classroom environment for about 30 minutes. And then we have volunteer pilots that take them flying around the local neighborhood in hopes to inspire them to one day want to get into the aviation field. So we give out scholarships and grants through the Young Eagle program. If there's interest there, the parents can talk to our representatives on the ground to get their kids in aviation schools and get scholarships for those things. And AMP license, for example, is airframe and power plant, and it would give a kid the opportunity to make $50 an hour with that license, and your Lockheed, Rockwell, Northrop type of companies.
Wow. I always have to throw a wrench in with my guests, and just I always like to throw a thought-provoking question out there. So, Dr. Hall, can you tell our viewers and our listeners, what does success mean to you?
Great question. What success means to me, I think when you put service before self, it's invaluable or priceless when you're able to see the changes that you can affect in someone's life by a simple smile or hello. That energy is transforming. And so success is anything that we put, our best efforts to. And like again, I'm one that believes that you can do anything you put your mind to. And Scripture says you can do anything through Christ who strengthens us. So we're in a time now prophetically that we can speak those things into existence. And I think that that's where with God you can do anything. So that's the ultimate form of success to me.
Wow, we're down to the last minute of the show. What are a couple of takeaways that you want our viewers and listeners to get from this great conversation?
Good question. I think, over the last couple of days spending with you, some of the things that, I call your pillars, if you will, is to dream big, think big, and be big. Just when you take the excuses out the way, you get results. So I would think that the takeaway would be to not be afraid to go try something different.
And a lot of people are afraid, just like you said, they don't want to take risks. But I believe that in order to be successful at anything you do, you have to sometimes get out your comfort zone. You have to be willing to take a risk. You have to be willing to just go out on faith in many things, in many things that it is. So, how could our viewers or listeners get in touch with you if they was reaching out to you about more information?
Yeah, sure. Great. So regarding some of the things we discussed today, Texas Green, that'll help you get an understanding of some of the initiatives that we're pushing is agribusiness and agritourism. So I'm Dr. E. Hall at texasgreenstar.com. If we're talking real estate, I'm Dr. E. Hall at Rise Realty. If we're talking Africa, I'm Dr. E. Hall at africanlink.com. You can go to africanlink.com, as we mentioned, and all the contact information is there as well.
Well, Dr. Hall, I want to thank you so much for taking time to come on the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I know that you just educated our listeners. And wow, I'm still on the wow thing about the Africa thing. So I tell you, like I always tell you, you have to always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life. I'm Dr. James Cooley.
Thanks for joining us for the James Cooley Show.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show. It's your